Hello and welcome back to the Minetrek.net game server. Today is an update for the Enterprise E. I'm currently working on Deck 15. I just finished up the remodel work for Deck 15. There's some system areas that I have to add systems in yet to go before I can push it back up to the ship proper. But I wanted to show you guys, well, you people, what I've done so far. I did rework the battle bridge. If you look up there, you can see the roof for it and everything else. And what I did is I kind of gave it a rounder shape, more of a reminiscent of the Enterprise D bridge, because why not? And I enlarged the area here for the conference room, and with the captain's ready room, I made it one big room. You can see here. And right here, I have a little work area plus phasers, and then access to the very long trunk line Jeffries tube there that goes all the way up to the bottom of the saucer or main hall, not the drive hall, but the primary hall, and then goes up from there to the very top of the ship. Here's a little first aid station and whatnot. Come out here, I can show you the deck a little bit in detail. It took quite a bit of time to, well, this deck only took about 3 days, but I had to do it in tandem with a lot of the stuff for Deck 14. I had to add an extra layer for Deck 14 and everything. And I got to apologize again about videos. All the work that I had recorded on my other system got fried when I got a power surge not too long ago. The entire system was just toasted, and I lost 2 drives, my backup external drive, which was my main backup drive for my network and everything. It was just all gone. I had a UPS in place, and evidently the UPS was having problems, and I didn't realize it, or it had been damaged or was in the process of being damaged, who knows. Over a course of a couple of months, we've been having power surges, and I think we've had like 4 or 5 power outages since November, and they're always preceded by a massive power surge. And for the most part, the UPSs, they're all CyberLink, I think. UPSs have all worked beautifully. This is the first one I've had actually fail due to a power surge, but it took my old 1155 system down with it. So that just leaves me with this system, another 1155 system, which is a server, and 2 AMD systems. Plus, I think it actually may have taken out a laptop, but I have to check the laptop because it was also plugged into that same wall outlet that got the surge. So yeah, it was pretty bad. But I'm pretty upset because I lost all the footage I had in all the decks. So I'm back to using this system and hoping that the fraps will work. I have Minecraft locked at 30 frames per second and fraps set to 30 frames per second. So I'm hoping that everything will work just fine on this system. So, but yeah, it was working pretty good on the other system too. I could record videos on it as long as I didn't do any building. I could record videos on it and go through and explain what I was doing and stuff, you know. But this system works better for building. I don't know why. The other system, it had an old 770 GTX in it. So, yeah, I'm gonna miss that card. That was actually a pretty darn good card. But yeah, all those parts pretty much were toasted. So I put the 770 into another system, and it didn't work. So yeah, I was kind of bummed out about that. It had 16 megs of RAM. The RAM modules, I put them into this system, and all I got was a beep, and that was it. Wouldn't even post. One module at a time, dual, all 4, nothing. So it took the whole thing down. I have no way, I'm not going to tear my other system apart and drop that 1155 chip into it to see if it boots, because then I have to clean all the everything off of it, because that one's water cooled and this other system was air cooled, so I don't particularly feel like doing a bunch of CPU swapping and cleaning and stuff. So yeah, I was pretty bummed out about that. But the thing is, it happened about 3-4 weeks back, and I took out a monitor too, and so I just replaced my monitor, and I'm still kind of miffed about it, but it is what it is. What can you do? You know, you have computers, eventually things go wrong. So, but yeah, that kind of burned me up, but oh well. So I'm back to recording with this system, so if it gets a little glitchy or we freeze up and lock up like we have in the past, bear with me. Anyways, what I did with Deck 14 here is I needed to drop the whole lower deck the bottom of the deck down by one whole block length. And the reason for that is a lot of the material, a lot of the rooms and stuff were actually right on the hull, and the floor was carpet. And same thing with most of the get out here, you'll see what I'm. Most of the corridors and stuff were right on carpet, and I couldn't do with that. So you can see there, that's actually not. This is actually not the bottom of the deck, as you can see. The deck's actually the floor. The corridor floor is above this. This is just white because I haven't converted it to anything else. But I raised this. Excuse me. I lowered this so that all of the corridors now are protected. Not protected, but one up from where they were at. Beforehand, like I said, they were on the hull. So the hull was basically the corridor floor. And I decided I didn't want that. Yeah, that's all been fixed. And I'm pretty happy about that. So, over here and place that one as well. Have a lot of things going on, so I tend to get a little lost in thought. I do apologize, but that is the way I am. But anyways, this lounge here, this was designed by the same person who designed the theater in the Enterprise D. I believe they also designed the theater in this ship, but he also designed this. Let's go ahead and turn off Gamma Bright, and you get it. It's a nice looking room. It's got a very, laid back atmosphere to it with the lights turned off. It's really nice looking, and I really felt that the work done on this roof deserved to be preserved. So I decided, yeah, you know what, this area really, there's not much that can be done with it. It is what it is. It looks good. It works well. I did change the walls and stuff like that to the newer block style as opposed to what was here, because that was hideous. And I like how it turned out, so I'm happy. But on this deck 14, this center corridor wasn't here before. What we used to have is you would come down the stairwell from deck 13 here. You would come down the stairwell onto deck 14, and you would be standing on the hull. At this point, you're actually on the hull, but you're on carpet. And that's why I had to drop it down by one. And I did bump it all up together, and it looks really good, so I'm very happy with how it came together. But right here, it would make a hard turn and go along the hull, but there's an airlock right there. And there's no way for me to reconcile having the airlock there and having the corridor go right next to it. It just didn't make any sense. So what I did is I rerouted the corridor, and again, the other part of the corridor came out right here at like a V angle right up to turbolift on the other side there. And I decided, okay, I didn't like how that looked. It really wasn't flowing well, so I took out the room that was right here, and basically it was just a really rinky-dink, small, crappy-looking little lounge area. And I was like, we don't need another lounge on this deck. We got that big area right there. And I decided, well, you know what, if we do need a lounge, I'll just open up this big area here, because we have this big bay window on both sides. This way here you have this big open area for, like, whatever reception. You can put a couple of tables in here, just have it like an open air lounge kind of a thing. And I pushed the corridor this way, because beforehand this was one solid room right here. So I pushed through a corridor, and then right here I ended the corridor, and I added this room right here, which is an EVA locker. This is what I did. And of course, this corridor goes along the outer part of the hull all the way back to the impulse bay. And for the most part, I didn't change any of the windows or anything else like that. I left them pretty much as is. And I've come this way here. This corridor here, actually, as it passed this turbolift, it made a really odd angle change. And then again, V-shaped right to that, almost right along this path to that corridor going port to starboard. And what I did is I went and stretched it down over this way and made this bathroom just a little bit bigger. Beforehand, it was about where these items here were at, as the corridor bent around. And then I just pushed it all the way back, then left it pretty much as is. Now, what I have done, I went through and I just redesigned the entrances to all of the escape pods. And the reason I did that, I realized that I really didn't like stepping over the primary, I guess you would call it door, I don't know, hatch. and then step down onto the red carpet and whatever, then up again into the escape pod. Right here, this color denotes ship. This right here, escape pod. Ship, escape pod. Ship, escape pod. But some of these trunks that lead into the escape pod are pretty long. So as we go down here, you'll see this one here is also brown, but this one right down here is black. So this is ship, escape pod. And what I did is I kind of like the pattern here that the stairs make. So all I did is I went through all the escape pods. I changed these blocks to, or from this block to these blocks, and I'll deal with it later. There's another block change I need to make there, but it's no biggie. Yeah. And I just made them long tunnels like this. So in some cases where it's only too wide, so you have ship, then escape pod, you'll see the brown. But when it's longer, it'll actually start off with the birch wood here and then go this way. And I didn't want to keep, like start it with this to go birch, and then like it'll be birch, then this again, because it looked like a candy cane at that point. And this is bad enough, but what can you do? It's Minecraft. But moving forward down this corridor, here is the Jeffries tube that goes between the silos. This is an actual silo right here. Nothing I can do. I cannot move the silos, and I can't move the corridors because we're fixed to the hull. So yeah, if I go any further out, I'm actually into the hull, and I don't want to do that. So I decided, okay, I'll just see if I can horseshoe the Jeffrey tubes in through here, and I did, with the exception that a couple areas you see the silos. And we come back through here. This goes all the way back. Then it'll cross the corridor, and then it'll go further back all the way up to a ladder that leads up into the primary hall. There's actually a couple ladders that lead up into the primary hall, but this is just, this actually ends at one, and there's another one I think right up here someplace. So we cross another corridor. This corridor was actually in the ship, or in the original design. I left it, and the reason I left it was because if you come up here and go around the corner, there used to be a door right about here or so that would lead, actually it was further down because here's one of the Jeffrey tube ladders that kind of go up and then up again up into the primary hall. But that's actually unchanged from previous design. We come this way here, and beforehand the door was right there for this area. And I redesigned this whole area, so now it looks like an EVA locker area. And it is. It's an EVA locker area. There's the hatch for it right there. And of course we have heavy equipment that can go in here, and gravity sleds and things like that. And they have a big weapons rack in case they have to go out on a haul and shoot Zoros drones or Borg or whatever off the hull. This corridor here is kind of a janky corridor, and the reason for that is there's a phaser right on the other side of this wall. So this corridor actually has to, go along the shape of the phaser. So that's why it looks kind of janky. Nothing else I could do about it. But it used to go all the way back and then kind of cut over and then meet up with the corridor over there. And I decided I didn't really want to do that. I needed an area back here to be dedicated to the phasers. And that's what this room became. If you want to, you can actually work your way all the way up along the phasers there and work on them if you need to. So this area here became the phaser work area. And it was a gain. And then of course here's a ladder that goes up to a battery room here. I'm not sure if it goes any higher. I'm just curious. No, it just comes into here. So must fix. So we'll come on down. Now, if you're familiar with Minetrek or any of this stuff, you understand that no matter how many times I go along and do things and tour the ship, I'm always, every time I start recording, I'm going to find little things like that just aren't complete or something's messed up. It's just the way it is. I can tell you, I've been through these decks half a dozen times just today alone, and each time I go through, I find something to fix, something to change, something to advance, you know what I mean. It is a never-ending job. And of course, the the Jeffrey's tube enters the corridor, enters from the corridor and comes down through here, and here's another stairwell, goes all the way up to the top of the ship. And if we go back this way here, we're passing some hidden ship systems and things like that. Another silo, then we step into a, area here, and then we have another stairwell that goes all the way up to the back of the ship. And then we have a gangway here that, of course, allows us access to deck 14 or 13, which is the cargo bay, and so forth. So it is well laid out. I'm very happy with the overall design for the E and the primary hull. I'm glad that I had a chance to come back through here and redesign a lot of this stuff because it really desperately needed it. And it's surprising how quickly this came together. When I decided to drop the floor down by one block, I figured it was going to be a nightmare to adapt it to the hull and everything else. But actually, it fit like a glove. It just fit like a glove, and I was very happy with it. Of course, I dropped, at that time it was actually down here, and then I just moved it up a couple of spots and started working on it between the two decks and working on the areas that are in tandem. There is a lot of areas that because I changed some things down here that will probably get kind of janky when I move the hull up here to the back to the stack again, or back to the ship proper. So that's the stack, this is the ship proper. I did make a mistake, and I kind of messed up one of the nacelles. Actually, I messed up both the nacelles, as you can see. But what I did with Imheller's help, I imported a nacelle from an older load save, and I moved the part that is getting messed up away from the ship. So hopefully I won't be messing this up anymore, and once I'm done I can move it back and then tie it all together, and I can go through it, of course, and make sure everything in here is kosher, get rid of the rainbow party barge, whatever you want to call that room they put up in there as a Easter egg, because yeah, it's stupid, and I want to get rid of it. I really do. I don't like it. I want it gone. But yes, deck 15 here is coming along pretty good. You can see where I've done some revision work on the torpedo launcher here, torpedo bay. It got really kind of confusing. It didn't make a lot of sense the way it was laid out, and there are windows here that have to have rooms attached to them, so I figure make a couple of small meditation rooms. That's what these will be, just small little meditation rooms for, people to go meditate. And of course there's a couple in here, but I just left them open, so basically they're just, whatever people want to park stuff here. Nothing I can do. I could, if I wanted to, redesign this whole area here when it's all mirrored back up in there, but I'm not going to worry about it because I don't want to mess with the hull. I prefer not to if I can avoid it. Albeit, if I do need it, there is wiggle room. But back here and stuff, there's already a couple of spots in the hull that kind of bug me, like right there. It just, I don't know, yeah. It doesn't look good to me, but it's the way it is, and I'm going to leave it, because that's just the way it is. All the crew quarters along through here are now, in most cases, they are dual crew quarters as opposed to being independent single crew quarters, because it just makes more sense having them as dual crew quarters. I'll get the word out eventually. So they have this big living area, and then of course they each have their own private little room and bathroom and so forth. Beforehand they were divided, so this big area here was divided into two little rooms, and even though it's like that in, say, the old strategic design plans from circa 2008 or 9, whenever those came out, which is what the original Sovereign over there is actually, it'd be over, yeah, it's over there, is based on. So, and I decided I want to go ahead and make them double, one big living space with two bedrooms per quarter. That way it just seemed to be a better use of space. And it looks good, and I'm very happy with it. And we gained some offices. Now I'm thinking with these rooms here, these offices, actually I'm thinking about turning these into small labs, because they could be small labs. It's not quarters. This is obviously not enough room to make a crew quarter out of. But I could turn this from an office or, conference room. This one could be a conference room, and come around the corner here, and one of these can be like an office or a small lab, probably a small lab here. And then this one here would be, yeah, this one could be an office, or two. a couple of desks here, a couple of desks there, a desk or two here and there, or a computer workstation or whatever. But if we come here and we look through here, there's not a lot I can do. It's just the way the hole comes down through here. It's just there's not a lot I can do. I can add like stairs to this, kind of hide it a little bit along the roof line here, but you know, they're just, I mean, short of using modded blocks to kind of slope it, there's not much I can do with this. It's Minecraft. It is what it is. There are windows here. If there weren't any windows here, this would all be a wall. But there are windows there, so I moved this door to be in line with these pillars. Come through here. You can see it's a nice design. I'm pretty happy with it. Come down this way here, and I think we go up this way, and there we go. Some more will be filled in soon, Astro. And emergency life support deck 14. So this is how it works. Deck 14, deck 15. Emergency life support. Just FYI. Come through here. We got another crew quarters. And more crew quarters. And of course, a half-finished Jeffrey's tube here, because when we mirror it, it'll be completed. And then we have, of course, the door here that comes from the cargo bay. When Shadow and I were working on the Luminosity B, when Shadow wanted to redesign the area of the Luminosity B, it occurred to us that this really looks like a clamshell like you would see on the Enterprise, bottom of the Enterprise D, so it's probably a cargo hatch. That's our argument. We're sticking with it because why not? And what I did is I mentioned this in the previous video, I went ahead and converted this area into being just that, a cargo hatch that goes all the way up to the cargo bay. And I like it. I think it's a good idea. Of course, we have a little EVA area right here. Over here, I need to update these blocks. They're updated. And I like it. I think it's pretty good. Got a little battery bank. We've got several battery banks on this deck, but here's one of the battery banks. Kind of asymmetrical looking there. Kind of neat. And again, we have the forward torpedo bay. There is a mega crap ton of torpedoes. Yeah, this ship won't run out of torpedoes anytime soon. Because you got the torpedoes here, then you got more up here. You've got quite a lot of torpedoes, and then of course you got even more torpedoes stored up in the probe magazine up here, which has been expanded. So this area here was expanded quite a bit, and then you got the aft torpedo bay and the lower aft torpedo bay. So there's quite a lot, and then of course there's another. I think there's another torpedo bay down here somewhere. There has to be. I know there is. We'll see it eventually. I could be thinking about the Voyager because these designs are really similar. Nope, it's right here. I was wrong. I lied. That's not a torpedo bay, but yeah, you know, there should be a torpedo bay down around here somewhere. One would think. I'm going to slow us down and just slowly go down through here. Yeah, I could have swore we had another torpedo bay around here somewhere. Oh well. I guess I'm just wrong. I guess the only torpedo bay is the one up there. Seems kind of odd. I thought there was another torpedo bay down here, but I guess not. Oh well. I'm thinking of the Voyager most likely. Speaking of builds and stuff that'll probably get worked on sooner or later, the Voyager. I don't know if, when it comes to the Voyager, if I'll actually do what I'm doing here to the current model, or if M just wants to hold off and restart the Voyager anew. The Voyager was a very tightly fit together ship, and I would have to rebuild several decks, move them away from, making the rooms bigger along the hull and the upper areas, while shrinking some rooms and things like that. So that's a challenge for a different time to think about. So technically I would move from this back to the D, go through the D again, update some of the areas in the D, or move to the Voyager or the Defiant. So yeah, it is going to be, or I don't know, start something new, or take a long break. Who knows? Who really knows? Anyways, what I got to do here with the captain's yacht, because the captain's yacht obviously will need to be updated as well, is I will, once these decks are all rejoined together, I'll cut out this whole section here, copy it out, and I'll make 2 copies of it, and with 1 copy I will remove all of the yacht, and with the second copy I will leave the yacht, but I will remove the entire area around the yacht. That way there I'll have a yacht on its own, and then I'll have an empty bay, and that way there we can redo the yacht, and then once the yacht, and then I'll move the empty bay back into here, and once the yacht is completed, we can move the yacht back into the ship, or move it into here, then whatever. You get the gist. You get the gist of it. That's how I'll end up doing updating the yacht and stuff. Here is the lower torpedo launcher. It's fed from the top here. Torpedoes come in through the sides here, and then they're dropped down into the torpedo launcher, and that's where they go. Fired right out through there. Now, I am almost certain that this ship had more torpedo bays. I could be thinking of the Sovereign too. Now, when this ship was designed, this would have been done purposely. Excuse me. We would have designed this ship only has this as a torpedo launcher, and that's it. But I do realize that the Sovereign probably had 6 or 7 torpedo launchers. Because I know it had the forward upper torpedo launcher. One of those rooms up here was actually a torpedo launcher. And then it had the aft torpedo launcher. Now, I cannot remember what the waypoint is for that, so we're just going to go home fearless. Okay, home fear. There we go. Wait for the fearless to load. There she goes. This is my baby. And then if we go this way here, here's the Miranda I built so many years ago on server. God, I built so many starships. I cannot believe I've done that. Here's the Savo Island. Here's the Akira. I think it's called the Renegade. There's the big starbase I made. This is actually version 2. People play with it and work with it and stuff like that. You can see they pulled out some of the areas and done some stuff. Here's the Centaur. Now that's called the Geronimo. Excuse me, the Akira is the Geronimo. This is the Renegade. This is a New Orleans class. Anyways, here's the Sovereign, and that right there is the Federation. I actually, you know what? I think once I'm done with the Sovereign, or the Enterprise E, I think I'll rebuild the Federation here. Reason for it is it's got this beautiful third nacelle up here. Yeah, I think I'll rebuild this ship here because I like this design, and why not? But here's the Sovereign. Now you got to remember, I built this hull as I built the ship. That's why it looks so funky. I mean, obviously it's not a 3D hull. I made this hull, and I was like so proud of this ship, and I built the ship on server. It's the first actual on server build I did. But as you can see here, it has has a torpedo launcher. Look at that bridge. Look at that bridge module. Oh my God. Has a torpedo launcher there. Come down through here. It has its torpedo launcher and captain's yacht. And then it has another torpedo launcher down here. I thought there was another one floating around here somewhere. Look at that. You know, back in the day, it looked really cool. What could I tell you? Back in the day, it really looked cool. Okay, we have our aft torpedo launchers here. And another torpedo launcher there. 2 more torpedo launchers. And then there's a torpedo launcher up here. So the ship was loaded with torpedo launchers. Now I know the Enterprise E has torpedo launchers in the nacelles. They're aft launching torpedo launchers. They go right here and they fire aft. So that one does have those 2 aft launching torpedoes, but those ones quite a few of them. My God, it has been a very, very long time since I've been on this build. Holy heck. I remember building this sorta, kinda, so many years. That's another thing that really hurts me. It's all the footage, all the old footage. All of my Star Trek Oh, I've just made myself nauseous. All of my footage was on those hard drives on that other system. Oh, and those drives are dead. That's why I had the backup drive hooked up to it, so that it would constantly do backups, and it too got barbecued. I pull what I did when it's a Seagate 3 terabyte backup drive. When I pulled it apart, I figured maybe the drive was okay. It just probably fried the controller. But when I tried to access the drive, it just said that it couldn't. It wouldn't read the drive. So unless there's like proprietary software I get from Seagate that'll allow me to read the drive, there's nothing I can do with it. The drive's dead. I stuck it in another older Seagate portable system that I had that had another drive go bad in it, and of course they're incompatible, so all of that's gone. Son of a gun. Oh well, easy come, easy go. It's not like I really needed to keep it anyways, but this was back in the day when I made my turbo lifts really big. And honestly, I really, in retrospect, should have kept this design, but because of the Enterprise D, I standardized with the Enterprise D when I started building stuff. And I built this without consideration for the Enterprise D, and as we go around the battle bridge area here. So yeah, the Enterprise D set the standard for how everything was to be built and designed in the future. That's why if you look at the Enterprise D, it's only got 2x2 and this is 3x3. And I like the 3x3 better. I think it does a lot nicer job of showing turbo lift as opposed to not. But as you can see, as we come along here, the crew quarters in here are very short, and then you have this little room right here, which is the bedroom, or well, bathroom, and like the bedroom would be like right here, sleeping quarters area and stuff like that. And it was kind of neat looking, but overall it doesn't really serve function well, so I decided to go ahead and make it a little bit bigger on the Enterprise E herself. But yeah, my gosh, this build is available on Planet Minecraft if anybody wants to download it. It's actually on Planet Minecraft. And look, I found my way to the bridge. Here's the bridge. Back in the day when we only had so many blocks we could use. It is what it is. I mean it functions. I mean, it still looks like a bridge. Got your little captain's chair, your little work areas here, the captain's little ready room, plus a little bathroom. And out we come. Anyways, I do appreciate you taking time to watch. Again, this is the Minetrek.net game server. Have a wonderful day, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.